Hey guys, Nuan here with Movie Slinger Reviews, and today we're gonna talk about Hellboy 2019. This movie is directed by Neil Marshall and stars David Harbour as the eponymous character Hellboy. The story begins in medieval times when King Arthur along with his knights and the wizard Merlin defeat the evil witch called the Blood Queen. Basically, they cut her up into 7 pieces and hide the parts at secret locations around the world. This movie really wants you to know it's rated R. Anyway, the Blood Queen vows to return and exact revenge on humanity by releasing a deadly plague. Fast forward to modern day and Hellboy is working for the Bureau for Paranormal Research and Defense. It's humanity's final line of defense against all kinds of monsters and paranormal threats. Hellboy learns that someone is trying to bring the Blood Queen back and that his own destiny, which he didn't really give much attention to, may be tied up in these apocalyptic events that are starting to unfold. So he has to learn about his own origins and stop the Blood Queen. This summary I just gave, it sounds simple, right? And if that's all it was, I would have been okay with it. But the filmmakers didn't keep things that simple. They introduced so many side characters. Most of them are unlikable, by the way, and many of them interact with Hellboy as if they have some history with him. And the audience is given very little context into the nature of their relationship or how they got there. Imagine trying to watch Infinity War without watching Civil War or Thor Ragnarok. You wouldn't know why Tony Stark is not talking to Steve Rogers. You wouldn't know why Loki had the Tesseract. It's like reading the middle chapter or issue of an ongoing comic book storyline. It also feels like they took a bunch of different storylines and mashed them all together. So what could have been a simple and straightforward story felt convoluted. Let's talk about some stuff I did like. David Harbour gave a good performance as Hellboy. He was very likable and you can tell he's trying, but unfortunately he's not given good dialogue to work with. The makeup on his face could have been better too. I loved the giant wild boar monster. I don't remember his real name, so I'm gonna call him Bebop. So Bebop, voiced by Stephen Graham, was the best thing in the whole movie. He had personality, I understood what his motivation was and why he hated Hellboy. It looks like they used a mix of prosthetics and CGI to bring this character to life. They did a great job here. I absolutely believed this creature existed. I really liked the scene where Bebop enters this monastery and starts interrogating the priests. It was really funny. I liked Mila Jovovich as the Blood Queen. She looked like she was having fun and had good chemistry with Bebop. My favorite scene in the movie is when the Blood Queen is sitting on this couch watching TV and her body parts are not connected yet. With her dismembered hand, she's holding a TV remote and she starts talking about how modern reality shows suck. And Bebop shows up and offers her cookies. That was hilarious. I wanted more scenes like that. It was weird, it was funny, and it wasn't trying to force feed us with F-bombs. Speaking of F-bombs, the movie is trying very hard to be edgy by characters cursing every 2 minutes, but it honestly didn't add much to the story and most of the jokes fell flat. That's probably because there was no chemistry between Hellboy and his teammates. I honestly didn't care about these supporting characters at all. Finally, there's Ian McShane as Hellboy's adoptive father. I think the only advice the director gave him is, say more F-bombs. He's not very likable and I felt like the father-son relationship between him and Hellboy was a bit weak. The movie is asking us to care about them, but I didn't. This could be a minor spoiler, so I'm gonna give a little spoiler warning. So they did the Rasputin scene, but it felt so rushed and cheap. It didn't have any of the suspense of Del Toro's version. Remember that opening scene? Those unnamed soldiers had more personality than most of the supporting characters in the reboot. But most importantly, it was a great starting point to show the relationship between Hellboy and Professor Broom. In this movie, instead of properly showing Professor Broom discovering Hellboy, the filmmakers get distracted with some Nazi killing dude who suddenly shows up and starts shooting up the place. Who the hell is this guy? I don't remember his name and he's never mentioned again. Ever. Look, I understand it's nice to have a few fan favorite characters or a cool Easter egg, but don't compromise the story for it. And don't lose sight of the most important relationship in the whole movie. The visual effects were a mixed bag. Bebop looked great and that hell sequence looked amazing, but there were scenes where the CGI looked unfinished and it robbed those scenes of the emotional weight they needed to work. The action scene where Hellboy fought the giants was really fun, and I also liked the fights between Bebop and Hellboy. There was no musical score I could notice, and in its place were a bunch of pop songs that didn't always make sense for what's happening on screen. The music choices felt odd and out of place. Conclusion: I liked David Harbour as Hellboy and Mila Jovovich as the Blood Queen. I loved Stephen Graham, who voiced Bebop, which was the best character in the whole movie. The other characters are either unlikable or a complete waste of screen time. A lot of the humor didn't work, the visual effects were not consistent, but the action was quite fun. The story, instead of being cohesive, felt very disjointed. And to make up for that, the filmmakers used a lot of expository dialogue. Whenever some new character shows up, they start telling a story and we get a flashback scene. That's just lazy, okay? Remember how Del Toro's Hellboy followed his ex-girlfriend on the rooftops and sat down with a kid? Then they ate cookies while trying to figure out if the girl liked Agent Myers? That one scene revealed more about Hellboy's character and his relationships than this entire reboot movie. This movie is rated R, but that doesn't add much to the story, and it definitely can't make a bad movie look good. I'll give this a 3.5 out of 10, so don't waste your money on Hellboy 2019. Watch this on TV. I'm really disappointed with this movie, but fortunately there's two really good and really fun Hellboy movies I can easily recommend to you. Watch those instead. So there you have it. Have you watched Hellboy 2019, and what did you think about it? Please leave your thoughts in the comments below and don't forget to like and subscribe. Movie Slinger out.